Hello and welcome back to the Eternity Clock, part Tom Baker. And in this part we'll be handling the city streets as we... as we kill the Cybermen, or whatever. Now, I love this plot point here. The obstacle being this big hole in the road. And the Doctor's solution is to go back in time and change the plans of the London Underground. Instead of, I don't know, walking around the thing. Oh no, the smartest man in the universe, my arse, Doctor.
No one at all. The Cybermen must have taken hundreds of people.
Death is actually a big part of Doctor Who. I mean, ideally it gets called a children's show, but I'd like to point out, what kind of children's show shows innocent people being killed constantly? Oh, don't get me wrong. I think when the show's poorly written, or I would say wrongly written, it does turn into a children's show. You know, where they cut out all the teeth and they don't show any blood. And it shouldn't be. It should be something kids can watch and enjoy, but it doesn't mean you have to dumb it down and have happy endings and get rid of most of the danger. But saying that, in this series, they've had some really good episodes like Flatline and Mummy on the Orient Express. Whereas in The Forest of Night makes me bloody cringe, if I'm honest, because that's exactly what I was talking about. It's a very child-friendly episode. You know, it's too child-friendly. So essentially, it's a family show rather than just a children's show. But at some points, it is just a children's show. Well, I'll bring that up. If you look in the 60s, back then it was written for children mainly. It's just the stuff they would show for children are different from what they would show now. Like, let me see. There's a storyline in Power of the Daleks, or is it Eve of the Daleks? No, it's Eve of the Daleks, where the second Doctor is meets the Daleks, and the Daleks are like, "Hey man, help us fix ourselves, or we'll take over the universe. Or we'll kill your buddies." And the second Doctor, is like, "Okay, then kill us all then." I'm serious. He's like that because in his mind at that point, he's like, killing this small group of innocent people is worth keeping the Daleks at bay. He's willing to sacrifice the few for the many. And that's a trait which disappears with the later Doctors. But I just found that interesting. Back in the beginning, there was a certain darkness to the character. Again, sort of with the first Doctor as well.
Oh, well, by then, how are these things just opening and shutting on their own?
It's almost as if someone has programmed them, Doctor.
Funny how times change. Probably got bombed in the war. Never had a chance.
Okay, coming up into the traditional puzzle aspect of 2D platformers now. It's crate pushing and manipulating lifts. You know, I'm just going to say, I think this is a big part of why Doctor Who works well as a British show. It's because we have all these different time periods, all this history to explore. Go on, push that crate, Doctor. About the sonic screwdriver, as much as I complain about it being a bit too overpowered, even though they've did a good job of reducing that in Series 8, even though it's a bit overpowered, it still works well in this game as a gameplay aspect. Because if this is a point-and-click adventure, using the sonic screwdriver as sort of a basis for that, isn't a bad idea. Like, I know for a fact that you can actually buy a Wii controller, which looks like the sonic screwdriver, which I find amusing. And that is a positive aspect too, because the sonic screwdriver, it was throughout, like, I'd say about half the classic series, but even then, it never became as iconic as it is now. You see images of cosplayers, and they have the suits, they have the clothes, but they also have that sonic screwdriver in their pocket as well. Which is, it's weird to consider how that's become such an iconic part of the show. And let me see, back in the old series, I'm not sure what it could do exactly. I think they essentially used it as a lockpick. from time to time. But even then, or a detonator. But the point is, I don't think they used it that much. Now, granted, because the new series doesn't have its serial-based format anymore, it has to tell a story in 45 minutes. You could argue, for the purposes of story, it makes more sense to give the sonic screwdriver more functions. In the new series, it's a lockpick. It's also a scanner. It can fix cracks in reality. It can repair Daleks. It can. Apparently, if you get three of them together, they can kill a Dalek, as in Day of the Doctor. And let me see. They can hack devices, which means that you just point at stuff and it tends to solve a few of the problems. But anyway, my thoughts on the sonic screwdriver. I'm still slowing my words here. But the point is, I don't mind it being part of the show necessarily, but it shouldn't be used as a solution to an episode's problem. Use it as a scanner and a lockpick. I think that's all you needed to do. And maybe occasionally hack the odd computer terminal, but other than that, go easy on it. And I'm pleased to say, very pleased, that they've really improved on that with Series 8. I mean, say what you rate Stephen Moffat, and I can say a lot, but I think he has listened to criticism this time round, and has actually improved the show. I still want him gone. I do. Because even though I'm not a complete hater, I acknowledge he's done some good things. I want him to go because he has a distinct style, like a distinct flavour, and I'm bored of that. I'm bored of that particular flavour. And the show's about change, and I think I want it to change again, which it did with the 12th Doctor. But even then, I think getting a new set of producers will make the show really feel fresh again. Yeah, but that's off the subject. I mean, Russell T Davies stayed for about, I'm going to say 5 series, because he did 4 series and a series of specials. And now Stephen Moffat did 4, and maybe one more series would be good for him to finally set out some of his final ideas. But I hope he doesn't really outstay his welcome. 5 series, I think that'll be a good run for a showrunner. But I'm really going off a tangent here. Lots of hats to collect. Oh, pardon me. I think I'll finally work out a system here. I should have just kept circling the middle one until it lined up eventually. There we go, just keep pressing right. I'm also thinking this, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think there's a system where you line up the 3 outer ones and then just keep rotating the middle one until it all lines up perfectly. Because something you'll notice is that these rotate at different rates. So there you go, if you rotate something long enough, it will eventually line up.
Where are these corridors coming from?
Alright, this is Victorian London. We'll see a lot more of this time period in the future. And this period will also have a new threat for us to face. Oh boy, I bet you can't wait for that, can you? I've spent most of these parts talking about Doctor Who as a whole, and how it's come forward. Loading. It's funny how the loading screen looks like the Doctor Who logo from the Russell T Davies era. The sort of orange ellipses. This section here. Now, first of all, I want to stay on the ground floor and just collect this hat and page. Now, River Song does have a gun here, which you can sort of charge up and shoot. It's okay, it stuns the Cybermen, but honestly, I'll tell you this now. You're better off just running. Now, to complete this section, we just take the lift right to the top, and we complete 2 puzzles there. And that's it. All this, this section here gives you the impression that you might have to run around and dodge Cybermen a bit, but you don't really. You just go straight to the top and start doing these puzzles here. Now, something you should note is that the Cybermen will eventually come for you here, so don't dawdle. But as you can see, I'm just lining these up as quickly as possible, and then pressing the triangle button to essentially end it quicker than I have to. Yeah, and it's not really clear in this video, but they sort of come from the background, and sort of walk forward and march onto this top level here. But there we go. See, and I'm off, and I haven't even seen them. And yes, if you do take too long doing that, they sort of march up behind you and do their sort of Vulcan shock pinch or whatever. Well, now, something that's important to note is that there is an achievement for shooting these Cybermen 5 times. And I think this is the best level to get that achievement. Although, as you can see, you still have to be careful. They can still get you. Oh, we can see them walking in the background. Gotta be careful. And after you do the puzzles, you just walk to the right here and just walk out. You know, I possibly think I should have just ran for it. There we go. I thought I'd show off the blaster at least once.
There you are. Small problem. Office full of Cybermen.
At least they're not in the ship. Come on, we need to get to the roof of the building site. Back in the 21st century, and
Okay, let's turn up the platforming here.
intact road surface.
Oh, what's interesting to note is that the announcer in the background mentions a Corporal Bell, and she's actually a character obviously from the original series. From the story called The Mind of Evil, I believe. And it's nice that they reference those obscure characters.
We need to find the weakest link. One quick blast.
And by the way, this remix here of I Am the Doctor, it's very triumphant, but it's also light at the same time. It's very adventurous. Da, 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 da. It's a really good remix of the song. You know, it's adventurous, it's energetic without being overbearing. Ba, ba, da, ba, da, ba, ba. And it's very triumphant. You know, it's a good thing to play while we're hopscotching across these rooftops here. You know, I'm wondering if the people of Earth will remember this cyber invasion. Maybe the cracks in time will erase their memories.
Just abandoned. They must have taken the drive.
Which, you know, if you don't know that, it's sort of hard to explain if you don't know what I'm talking about. But essentially, Stephen Moffat used these cracks in time to sort of reset Earth, present-day Earth, in the Doctor Who universe. Because I think in the previous era they had so many invasions by aliens. You know, Earth in the Doctor Who universe sort of lost its status quo status. It didn't seem like our real Earth anymore. And it's really a long story. Essentially, it was a way of doing a soft reboot of the Doctor Who universe, without it actually being a full reboot. And, you know, that's good, because Doctor Who, it doesn't need a reboot. It will never need a reboot. You can always just add a new Doctor and get a new feel. Yeah, in fact, you know, Doctor Who will never need a reboot, because you can essentially soft reboot the universe whenever you get a new Doctor.
We can use the window cleaner's cradle to get down.
I'm probably overthinking this here. There we go. Anyway, coming up, we'll enter the Cyberman ship, and finally deal with these Silver Nemesis. Hooray, reference! You know, the graphics in this game, maybe I'm being generous here, but I actually think they're really good. I mean, granted, I think after a couple of years they've already aged, but, you know, that's what graphics do. But I think this is probably the best looking Doctor Who game out there. Granted, that isn't saying much, but I think it looks, you know, good for what it is. And now we're introduced to the second level of Sonic Screwdriver puzzles here, as well as sort of operating the frequency with the right analog stick. We use the left analog stick to sort of line up this cross here. And with that, we're into the spaceship. It's the end of the part, but don't worry, the moment has been prepared for.